Welcome to Unshakeable Belief, where we dive deep into stories of resilience, faith, and finding your purpose. I'm your host, Monica Connolly, here to help you unlock your inner strength and take action toward a life you love. Let's get started. Welcome back to Unshakable Belief. Today, I have the honor of introducing not just two powerhouse leaders, but two incredible women I'm lucky to call friends, Amy P. Kelly and Julie Nee of You Grow Girl. These women are on a mission to ignite confidence, resilience, and leadership in women everywhere through personal growth, self-discovery, and intentional action. Amy and Julie are seasoned experts in leadership development, coaching, and transformation, bringing decades of experience in guiding individuals and teams towards their highest potential. But what truly sets them apart is their heart, their deep passion for uplifting others, their ability to connect on a personal level, and their belief that every woman has the potential to grow, lead, and thrive no matter where she is on her journey. In this conversation, we'll dive into the transformative work they're doing, the wisdom that they've gained through years of leadership and coaching, and how you can embrace your own personal and professional growth with intention and confidence. So grab your notebook and a cup of tea and get ready, because today we are talking all about growing into your best self, stepping into leadership, and creating a life and career you love. Amy and Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Monica. What a great intro. We so appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So, can you guys share the inspiration behind founding of You Grow Girl? And maybe it's a little different for both of you, but also how your personal journey led you to create the movement.
Amy, you start.
Well, You Grow Girl was inspired by a journal I saw, and it was a kind of just a journal in a drugstore that said "You Grow Girl" on it. And at the time, I wasn't one of the people that was saying all the things need to be just women's groups or women's initiatives. And I was also at a transition point where I was starting to see the power of just those shared
I lost her on my end. Did you lose her, Monica?
I did lose her.
I've
Well,
never seen. I've never.
I hope she doesn't have a storm or something at her house.
I see buffering. Well, you know what? I don't know if you edit this or not, but if you don't edit it, audience, this technology happens. And then Amy's bleeping in and out. So I'm going to take the ball for right now. And yeah, Amy started talking about how she saw a journal, and it was just a blank journal that said the words "You Grow Girl" on it. And it inspired an idea in her. And she and I had been creating a lot of leadership development content for the John Gordon companies. And we just knew we had become good at it over the years. And so she said, "Do you want to create this content together? Because everything we did was better when we did it together." And I said, "Yes, of course, duh." And then we decided we're going to run it by John Gordon. And so we said to John, "Hey, we're going to create this journal, You Grow Girl journal." And he said, "You need to write the book first." And we were like, "I guess we're writing a book." And Amy, I think yes, Monica's showing you right now. I have it right here.
Journal's in the other room.
Amy, it looks like you're back. So I'm going to pass the baton back to you to finish the story.
Hopefully I'm coming through now. Am I?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Sorry, anyone who's listening, and to my team there. I was talking away, but just like great teammates do, both Julie and Monica just, took the ball and ran with it. You did a great job of summarizing. And I think a little bit of even the internet connectivity is an illustration of what Julie and I have seen. Monica has seen it, and coming together to support each other through that common lens of being a woman in your life and your work. And so You Grow Girl is us taking lessons that we have learned, because we have over 50 years of corporate experience between us and working in executive roles and Learning from, I'll just speak for myself, mistakes as well as great opportunities provided, and now feeling excited about sharing some of that because our careers, we're definitely focused on learning and development and have been keenly in that area specifically for the last decade plus. So how do we turn that into a vehicle to help this audience that we care so much about?
Yeah. Julie, do you want to add anything?
I think it's just back to that point of being better together. And every time we worked through this, we compared stories and we found common things, but like we're very different. Our experiences are different. My background is in sales and sales leadership. I worked for the Hershey Company for a couple of decades, leading teams and developing people and selling candy. Amy is an HR executive. So even though it looks like maybe our experiences are similar, they were actually quite different. But when we started comparing notes and comparing stories, we did have a lot of points of intersection where we thought we could add value. And even when we were writing the introduction of the book, we were just spitballing, honestly, like all kinds of different stories. And we both realized that we each had a story about being in a basement. And so we kind of started the setup of the introduction that we both had a time where we were in the basement. And I think it's important to talk about things like that because we for sure love growing. And we also love positivity and personal development and professional development, all the things. But that doesn't mean we haven't had times where we have been in the basement and we've had down cycles and we've had hardships. And so through everything that we wrote about, and even through building the Cultivate model that we wrote the whole book in the journal about, that's the framework that kind of undergirds the whole thing, we still kept in mind that life has ups and downs and we're real people. We're not just shiny, happy people all the time. We're real people.
Well, I know that the core mission of You Grow Girl was to help women cultivate their best selves. So, talking about personal development and empowerment, what are some key principles for you that you've developed or that you have found work really well for yourself, but also for the women that you work with? Julie, do you want to start?
Sure. I think Amy and I are going to be on a similar page here, but so much of it starts with what we believe to be true about ourselves, what we believe to be true about what's possible, and what we believe to be true and the potential of others. And Amy is just the queen of belief. I was hoping you'd point to her first because I knew she'd start talking about this. But I think really it all starts there because we can't really do any growing without believing in what's possible. So
Yeah.
I think that's the start. What do you want to add to that, Amy?
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Before Carol Dweck was even talking about growth mindset, she gets into the fact that our mindset has to believe that growth is possible in order to have that growth happen. And there are many of us, and we're all a combination of things. We're not just a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, but we have multiple mindsets that are neural connections. And for sure, wanting to see people capitalize on that available potential that's there. And mindset and your belief, what you believe about that, whether you believe growth is possible or not, is the first thing. Some people say, well, it is what it is, or, that's just me. That's the way I am, what I am. You know what about me? And the truth is, we are not fixed. We have the potential to make adjustments. And there's so many things that go into who we are. And there are some challenging things. There's lots of trauma sometimes. There's also wonderful things. And there's the way that we were created in our cells and our DNA all working together. And a piece that we work with is this potential. And so our Cultivate model takes the things that Julie and I have learned over the years. Even each letter stands for something that's pivotal and essential in the growth process, cultivating your best growth. And for me, she was just talking about belief, but the C stands for create the environment. And it is kind of where you start because we talk about 4 different areas where you create the environment, one of which is in your mind. One is your physical environment, your environment around you. We can't change everything. We can't all be at the beach all the time. And we do have and change some things, and the people we surround ourselves with, and then the tools and resources that we curate to bring to the growth process. So looking at those four elements of creating the environment, that's where we tend to start the discussion with women. And then we move through each of the letters, and they don't have to be done in order, but it allows us to provide that model and the foundation so people can work from those lessons learned and those best practices.
Right. Julie, can you tell us a little bit, talking about the journal and the book, how they work together? There's the book, it goes with the journal, and they go hand in hand. But can you tell us a little bit about how those two work together?
Yes. So we are already talking about the cultivate model and the fact that it's an acronym. So all 9 letters in the word cultivate are what created the chapters in the book, but they also are connected to the chapters in the journal. And you might go, journals don't really have chapters, do they? But our journal does. And so the way we created it is, again, 9 letters, 10 days per letter. So every day in those 10 days per chapter, right? You have a spread. And inside that spread, you're going to do a few different things. You're going to practice gratitude. You're going to do some reflection. You're going to say some affirmations. And you have those spreads. So inside each chapter, there are the spreads. Then there is something we call a powerful list. And that list is different for each of the letters. And then there is a coloring page inside each chapter as well. And that coloring page actually is custom built for us and our journal. And it connects to the icon that connects to the letter that, everything is very, very intentional. There's nothing haphazard or random about anything inside here. So it has a coloring page. And the point of the coloring page, if you even Google, like anyone who's listening, if you Google the benefits of coloring, there is so much to it, but it helps us be more present and mindful. It reduces stress. It allows us to connect to what we're doing, and it allows us to just be more open-minded and creative. So having that coloring page inside each chapter is important too. And then the last thing that's inside each one is a quote. And that quote connects to whichever letter you're inside. And then when you go to the next chapter, the 10 spreads will be just slightly different in terms of some of the things I'm asking you to do. But what it really comes to is a 90-day growth transformation. So 9 letters, 10 days per letter, 90 total days. So if you actually do it every day for 90 days, really that's where that transformation can happen. It's in the practice, and it's in the doing it over and over and over again. So hopefully that explains it without seeing it visually. I'm going to grab my copy right here too. The other thing that we did with this is it's full color, and we wanted it to be beautiful. This is not one of those journals that you open up and you do the same thing on the same day with just blank pages and lines. This is a really beautiful, intentionally built journal that people can really dig into.
Yeah, and I love the coloring aspect of it, because it just, a lot of times when you journal, you can sometimes when you're journaling, you bring up emotions, and having the coloring page I found is really nice because it's just calming. And so if I've journaled about something that maybe is something hard that I'm going through, I can then turn around and do the coloring and use that as a calming tool for my nervous system.
Oh, thank you.
And really, with the science that goes with habit creation, 7 days in a week is just not as substantial as having 10. 3 extra days doesn't necessarily seem like much, but the more that we can repeat through consistency practices, the greater chance of success we have of creating a new habit. And you were mentioning just the power of coloring, Monica. And, we have attached the research about, there's research about journaling. It's a wellness practice. It's used in so many different components of wellness. And it also is about inspiring our best creativity. Journaling is known for that. And so where there's evidence behind what we're suggesting people do, we've brought that forward because, of course, that's helpful. It's one thing to believe that it's all going to work, and belief is powerful. And one of the things that undergirds belief is proof. We don't always get proof. Sometimes we have to choose faith, and that's powerful. And when we have evidence about wellness and journaling, wellness and coloring, consistency and habit formation, putting that all together is really the intention of producing powerful results and transformation, which is what we want for people, the outcomes that are available. A lot of people get lost along the way because our lives are we can get interrupted. We have a lot of distractions and competing priorities. So simplifying things and bringing those together into these tools and resources and hopefully relatable stories because of our human experience, then that will be something that can provide value to the women we're looking to serve.
Well, so much of You Grow Girl is building a community of women. So, can you talk to me a little bit about the community that you build and about some of the events that you hold and that you host in person and also online?
You want to go, Amy?
Sure, I'll start so that it's fun to hear each other. The reason we like to listen is I love to listen to Julie talk about what we're doing, because even though we are in constant communication, it's really invigorating to hear even one small nuance of what she brings to the exciting things that we're putting together. So we're pausing and waiting for each other. We have definitely chosen a couple anchor dates in the year to work around. We are consistently doing workshops, keynotes, things like that, because it's a dynamic process of growth. And in March every year is International Women's Day. It's the day we launched our book and journal. It's the day that You Grow Girl in terms of what we're bringing to this world became a thing. And so every year we're looking and partnering to create events around that particular date. And we have the whole month is Women's History Month in the United States. There's a lot of great history behind how that became the reality that it is. This year we have an in-person event, which I'm going to leave to Julie. So it's coming, Julie. And the other key event that we have each year is in November. So they're about equidistant between each other. That one is on Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And we're bringing together women to talk about we're either working in a business, for a business, might be going back into the workforce, you're working in your home, all these things, we're consumers of someone else's business, right? And we have brought together an online group that was phenomenal last year. We plan on doing both of those things every year, in addition to the other events where we go and support, just like we just did, Monica. We were at Brooke Hemingway's Align event. That was for men and women. And we had a powerful group of women from Amberly Lago's mastermind. And so we're always helping and supporting each other and looking for ways to learn and grow together. But next week is really exciting.
Yes. And we will be in Charlotte. And obviously it'll probably, by the time this launches, we might be past it. But it's on March 27th in Charlotte. And we've pulled together an incredible panel of high-powered senior leaders in Charlotte that will be, and we'll have a panel discussion that's hosted by one of the local TV news anchors. And then we're also going to be doing, not also, let's switch the order. We're going to start with a You Grow Girl mini workshop, and then we're going to have the powerful panel. And then afterwards, we'll have an opportunity for people to connect and network. But we put a lot of time and energy and intention, just like we did with the book and journal, to having all kinds of elements that this event is going to be a big success. And it's going to make an impact too, because we're hosting it at Dress for Success Charlotte and asking people to bring a purse or a bag as well. There's a give bag element. And of course, we're going to give and pour and help people grow and give them resources and tools, but also they will have the opportunity to give back. So we are super excited about that event next week and have been working very hard to pull it all together.
Well, and knowing that you guys do these on a yearly basis, women can look for them every March and every November. And, by connecting with you, they can follow and see if you're having an event in a town that's close to them so that they can attend in person.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to do virtual too. So that a great way to plug in would be to go to you-grow-girl.com and you'll see everything on our website and ways to really connect.
We have
and I love the virtual option. So
Let's Grow Together sessions that we do, bring in women at all different times, but we also are doing workshops for private companies consistently. As we get to this next portion of our time, though, I do want to say that, Monica, one thing that I think we've all learned together is just that we've had a career at this point. We're still going. We're the best is yet to come. And meeting people, we met through a group where the extra power of working together, we've seen how much faster people are able to elevate toward their dreams and aspirations. And this You Grow Girl is a component of many tools that go into creating an environment where people can do that and really flourish and thrive. And so watching you, getting to meet you has been so wonderful.
Well, it definitely has been such a privilege to be able to, learn about the program that you do and attend some of your workshops. Every time you guys teach something, I walk away learning something new. So it has been really, really helpful for me to connect with you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. We're grateful.
So something that we talk about usually in women who are getting into leadership is obstacles that they face. A lot of women have issues with perfectionism and imposter syndrome. So how does the You Grow Girl, the book and the journal, how does it address those challenges? Is there something in there that women can look for specifically that can help them with that?
Do you want to take it, Amy, before you
Sure.
sign off?
Absolutely. Julie's letting it, she's giving me an opportunity to say something because she knows that I'm sad to be leaving a little early today. And Julie will finish the conversation. I'm headed to go serve some people. When it comes to those things that we all deal with, it's a never, not to be defeatist. It's always going to be a challenge. We have a huge battle ahead of us with just the images that are put in front of us, the people who maybe aren't trying to uplift others because of maybe their own pain. So we have to have practices. And really, the Cultivate model is intended to be and include the different practices. The U is unlock courage and confidence. And we talk about the weeds, we use the weeds illustration that things can comparison and just people who are mean or they're not nice for whatever reason. And sometimes that could have been us. But how do you really work through those with mindset practices, with things that you can do mentally, physically, and in your work? And so we're always learning. Julie helps me. I help her. You notice when these things are coming up in your life more and more when you do this work and you're able to say, nope, I'm not going to waste time. I want to celebrate that other woman. I want to learn from that other person. I want to feed myself with the things that are going to help me be healthy. And we'd like to see people able to start earlier so that you don't build such a big kind of pile of dirt that you have to then excavate when you get into your 40s, your 50s. And it's the model is there, and then inside each element of the model there are practices. So that's really what we bring out when we have our trainings and our workshops.
Thank you, Amy. And yes, Monica, I want to just talk a little bit more about some of those weeds and weed killers that Amy was talking about, because she talked about comparison and she talked about meanie greenies, and a couple of the other ones are FOMO. And that's a big one. Like, why didn't I get, back in the day when I was growing up, like if I didn't get invited to the event or the birthday party or whatever it was, I would never know. But now we all know where everybody else is, and it's really hard. But the thing about life is that we can't be everywhere because we can't bring our best selves to all the things. Sometimes people just want an invitation, but the thing is, we have to stand in JOMO. So kind of like the weed killer for FOMO is JOMO, like just trusting that you are exactly where you're supposed to be and that you're doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Even if all those other people look like they're having a great time. You know what? I'm actually having a great time being right here at home working on this project. And honestly, that was one that we had to work on a lot when we were writing this, getting the book and journal ready for International Women's Day last year. We said no to a lot of things. And we saw people going to events and doing actually Align last year. That was a big one where everyone in Amberly's mastermind, Align. We were like, we can't go because we have to do this. But we stood in JOMO because we knew we were where we were supposed to be. And so really being able to look at what we're doing and what we're not doing and being good with all of it. And that's enough. That's just one of them. And the other one is just ourselves. Like, and by the way, I'm a huge Swiftie. So it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Sometimes it's us that hold us back from all the things crazy in our minds. And we tell ourselves all the reasons why we can't do a thing or why that goal is too big or who am I to do the thing. That is not true. It's not true. And we have to kind of knock that stuff out and don't let, there's plenty of naysayers in the world that we don't need to be the ones doing it to ourselves. So
Right.
there's a lot in here, but that specific question that you asked, the chapter you, unlock courage and confidence, has a lot of that content.
Well, and I think so many times, you guys could have looked at it last year when you missed a line. You could have looked at it and been like, oh my gosh, like we can't go and been so disappointed. But it, like we also said, you guys came this year. And so it was, no, I can't do it right now. It doesn't
Exactly.
mean no forever.
Yes, so
And
true.
so sometimes when you're in the middle of, creating something, you really do have to put that as your focus and you really have to dump all of your energy into that. And, and like you said, you definitely can have that FOMO, but knowing that what you're doing is taking you closer to your end goal and
That's
that
right.
it's taking you in the direction you're supposed to be going and that it just means, no, not right now. Check with me later.
Exactly. Anyone who's chasing a dream has had to say no to some things and
Yeah,
and be happy with it.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you have done a lot with leadership and personal development. Can you tell me a time when you were either maybe teaching a class or working with someone in You Grow Girl and you saw just a transformative experience from them?
Yeah. This is going to sound general. It's not intended to sound general because I know you're asking me for something specific, but this is just an aha that I've seen over and over and over again in our workshops. And you might have even noticed this when you were with us at Align. But every single time we do some kind of a workshop, the women come away just going like,
Yeah,
I needed that so much. Why don't I ever do that for myself? I'm so glad I invested this time. Or when we're inside organizations, gosh, I am so grateful that they invested in me. And especially inside organizations, we've had women say, gosh, I can't believe my boss actually told me not to work this afternoon and to do this instead and to prioritize myself. And it's just, we hear that over and over again, and we hear how much women need it. I mean, we were just doing a virtual workshop for a client a couple weeks ago, and kind of the open Q&A portion where we had that just a lot of interaction, it was too short, and it's giving us so many things, and you could tell they wanted
yeah,
more. They wanted more coaching, they wanted more engagement, they wanted more time, but we had a time block for that thing, and it was over. And so of course we came back and we were like, we can come back and do some more of that. But you can just tell women are hungry for this, for
yeah.
time to invest in themselves, and actually just some open space to just talk and connect and engage.
Yeah, and I think when you guys did your program at Align, we saw so many women who shared a story, and then people were like, my gosh, like I can relate to
So,
that.
podcast guests, right now it's Julie and Monica's frozen. So I don't know. Oh, there you are.
Good.
It's over.
So at Align, we saw that so many of the women, somebody would share something, and then other women would be like, oh my gosh, like that, I can totally relate to that.
Yes.
And I thought I was the only one. But then something that was really amazing to me was we picked cards
Mhm.
at the workshop, and everybody's card meant something to them. And it was something that was very fitting for the situation that they were in without knowing what the card was that they were going to pick. It was blindly picking it. And so to have the women, look at that card and be like, "Oh my gosh, like this really this fits." And it's a lot of them it's affirmation of what, something that they have planned or something that they're already thinking about. So that
Yes.
was really neat to see.
Yes, and specifically those are affirmation cards. So that's exactly what they're designed to do, for you and me and everyone to say those kind words to themselves. We have to nourish ourselves in the same way we would nourish others. So,
Yeah.
yes.
So, my last question is about moving on that personal growth journey. So, for women who are maybe new to personal development or who are just starting out on this journey, where is somewhere for them to start? Just one step that they can take that helps them move forward on that path.
Gosh, I know you're wanting something really concise, but I think it's so different for everyone. Like, and I'll just give you an example of where I started. My first step into personal growth was when I read John Gordon's book, The Energy Bus. And historically, for me, I had been given all these big, thick, complicated business books, business leadership books, and they just couldn't keep my attention all the way through. It was hard to read. It was dry and it was hard to implement. But when I read The Energy Bus, it was so easy to read and so easy to implement. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because for me, that worked. But there might have been someone down the hall who totally clicked into like the minutia and the detail and the length and, all the things. And so I don't think there's a simple answer because Monica, you and I are now in a little bit of an entrepreneurs group and different pockets of entrepreneurs. So when I meet with people, I just met with a guy last week who wrote a book and he's trying to be a speaker, and we were just sharing ideas and talking about things, and I was saying, well, do you follow this person, do you follow that person, he didn't know any of the people. So I think you kind of just have to plug into the people where you are or where your interests are, because the sports people are going to be in their own lane, and maybe the sales people are going to be in their own lane, and the finance people and the entrepreneurs. Just there are kind of different lanes. So I don't think there's any one size fits all answer to your question. Like, if you want to do personal growth, start here. Because I just don't think that's how it works. If you're a 50 something woman and you see Amy and I, you might be like, hey, you know what, they're pretty cool, I might check them out, right? But if you're a 20 something, maybe you will, maybe you won't want to connect with us. Maybe you'll find a younger influencer on TikTok. Everybody's going to find their thing. But if you want to grow, there is no shortage of resources to grow. And I think that's the bigger thing. And I know you said there's so many things. Where do you start? You agree that you're going to
I
start
think that
by
first.
doing something, watch a video, read a book, go to YouTube. I mean, just whatever your source is for that, go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon or whatever and get a book. But I mean, there's just no excuse not to grow if you have that desire, because there are resources all around you.
Yeah. I know mine was a really small personal development event. There was
Yeah.
like 30 ladies, and a podcast kept being mentioned by several of
Yeah.
them. And so I started listening to the podcast after that. And, and that kind of, it just led to one thing after another after another. And so, yeah, like you said, it can be so different for every person. I feel like getting involved in that community though, and having, getting involved either in your local community or getting involved with community online, that was huge for me because it gave me accountability, and I couldn't give up, because I knew if I gave up that people were going to
Yes.
be like, well, why aren't you doing this? You said you were going to do this. And so having that community of people to hold you accountable to, I think, is super important.
I do too. And there are lots of different communities that you can plug into. But once you say it out loud, there's no takebacks. The people around you are going to be like, so how's that podcast going? How's that speaking thing going? I thought you said you were going to write a book. Have you done anything on that? Right. So no doubt about it. It's good. It's good to say it out loud.
Yeah.
It takes some courage, but once you do it, then you have to follow through.
Yeah. And it's funny to watch people, because I've seen people where they really hesitated to share anything like that because they were still like so afraid of taking those first steps to it. But once you actually say it out loud, it's crazy how it changes the perception in your own brain, and it changes that fear that you have. And once you say it out loud, it's like I can do this. That's no problem. I got this.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite things to do with that too is just look for evidence in your past of when you've done a similar thing. You probably haven't done the same thing, but you've probably done something similar enough that you can give your brain a little bit of evidence that, oh, you know what? I do have a little bit of experience in this area. Might not be the same audience. It might not be the same genre, whatever it is, but I actually have done this a few times over here. And so I think I can apply that to what I'm doing now and just remind yourself that you're not as green maybe as you think you
Yeah,
are.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Julie, thank you so much for taking time with me today and for talking to me and talking to the listeners about You Grow Girl. Can you tell us the easiest and best way to get connected with you?
Yes, we would love for people to connect with us. Our website is u-grow-girl.com and our Instagram handle is at @ugrowgirlcommunity. We'd love to plug in with anyone that way and stay tuned because we are launching like any minute now a very new and exciting book called The Gift of Growth. And it's a book that combines a gift every day. So a gift of an inspirational quote and then an opportunity for growth every day through us requesting an action of you every single day. So a 365-day tool that you're giving yourself the gift of growth every single day. And we obviously have written it as a gift to you, but people can give themselves the gift of growth every single day. So that'll be launching in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited about that too. And that information on that will be on our website as well.
Oh, perfect. I will have to watch out for that. And definitely all of the show notes will have your contact information, your website, everything like that, so that everyone can connect with you.
Awesome. Thank
So
you, Monica. It's always
thank
wonderful to
you.
see you. And I look forward to seeing you in Dallas in April.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Unshakable Belief. If today's episode inspired you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, trust your journey, embrace your purpose, and let your belief guide you forward.